Ableton just dropped a very cool performance video with the Ableton Move, but they didn't drop a tutorial with it. So today we're going to reverse engineer this performance. I've got my Move in front of me. I don't have the same drum kit that they're using in this video, but I have been working through the manual and I feel like I have a good idea of what's going on in this performance. So let's rewind it back to the beginning. First move here, he hits the snare. That's pretty simple. Why does he hit the snare? Because it selects the snare. And now we can use the snare sample to play pitched. I can select any of these samples and play them pitched in this mode. Watch what happens next. Cool, he plays a fill, and then with his left hand presses the play button on Move. Watch that again. Why does he press the play button? He presses the play button because the main drum loop that you're hearing is pre-recorded, and there may even be some other instruments playing, like a bass as well. Something to look out for are these track buttons here on the left. Those will actually illuminate when sound is coming through. So if I press play on my Move, I've got a drum loop recorded. You'll see that this light here is flashing and there's sound coming through. So if we watch these lights throughout the performance and we see them flashing, we know that sound is coming from those tracks. But he actually presses another button kind of right away after pressing play. Let's pay attention. Presses play, and then he holds shift and selects another sample. Watch that again. Shift, sample. Why does he do that? He's holding shift and selecting the sample he's going to play next. But if you notice, as I hold shift and I press a pad, no sound comes out. So he's basically just selecting a sample without having to hear it. Otherwise, if I press a pad, you will hear it. Pressing shift allows you to select the pad without actually making sound. Where do we go from here? I'm feeling this. The loop is just playing. And then you notice that he turned a knob and then pressed a button over here. Let's start with the knob. So he's turning up the second knob over from the screen, and that is the delay feedback. And you notice as I turn it up here, there's actually no change happening to this hi-hat sound. But if I play the snare, we hear the delay feedback changing. So that's what he's doing, and what he's doing is manipulating the feedback of the delay send. So if this other percussion sound is going there, it's going to be affected by this feedback. On Move, you have the ability to send any of the samples to one of these two effects, but you also have the choice to not send them to those effects. So whatever, in this performance, he uses this knob right here to turn up the delay feedback, which turns up the delay feedback for any sound being sent to that delay. Okay, but what just happened here with the other hand? Watch that again. He's pressing the capture button. The capture button is really cool. And in fact, throughout this performance, pay attention to this hand and the capture button being right here, because what this allows him to do is to never actually hit the record button. Instead, when he does something like turn up the delay feedback while the loop is playing, pressing the capture button captures that recorded motion. He never had to punch into recording. Capture just remembers what you just did and retroactively records it for you. That works for notes, that works for effects automation. It's really cool. So that motion with the delay feedback, he recorded that into the loop. Here, we start to play an instrument chromatically. That's pretty basic. That's kind of what this video is all about. If you remember earlier, he selected this sample silently by holding shift and selecting that sample. So now it's ready to play when that point comes in the song. And again, all he's doing is he selected this sample silently, and now he has access to 16 pitches of that sample, which is obviously different from that sample that I just played, but he's playing it melodically. Pay attention to this hand right here because he's about to hit capture and record the melodic idea that he just played. Capture, that melody he just recorded, it's there again, right? So now he's recorded that loop. Now watch this hand here because he's about to select another sample and he's going to do it silently by holding shift and selecting another sample. Then he's going to play another melody on top of the melody he just recorded. Octave up. It's recorded. All right, and then that motion he just did right there to get to the next step is important. So it all flies by so fast, but he records one melody, hits capture, so it's recorded, records another melody, octave up, captures that, and then he does a bunch of little menu changes. What is he doing there? Let's see what he does first, and then I'll explain it. Now we're playing chords. And again, he's just playing a chord sample, 16 pitches, so he's able to make a full chord progression. And if you listen, you can tell he's tweaking the filter frequency. So the quick motion he does after recording the second melody, blink and you'll miss it, is what's giving him access to the filter. Let me show you that on Move. Basically, when you select any sample on Move, you have access to specific kinds of parameters, like transpose, or the sample start time, or the decay time, basic things you would expect from a sampler. There's another page of controls that we can access by holding Shift and pressing the sampler, going from the main bank, which we just talked about with transpose and sample start, to the filter and setup bank. This gives you a whole nother set of controls, like filter frequency, filter resonance, the filter type, envelope mode, choke, velocity and filter, so you can have the actual velocity that you play affect the filter, which I think is pretty cool, and the panning. So that fast motion that we see in the video is the performer holding Shift, pressing that sample button, switching to filter setup, and getting ready to tweak the filter frequency on this chord sample. With that in mind, just watch that quick motion again. It's very fast, and it's something that will take a lot of practice to do. Second melody, switch to filter bank, play that, tweak the filter at the same time. Press capture, and please pay attention to the mastery here, because he's doing multiple things with the same hand. He's playing notes with this hand, and he's going to use his ring finger to press capture. So that's recorded. And that's the performance. And then he just presses play, which stops the performance, but he stops it on the beat that he automated the delay feedback on. So a lot of really cool stuff went into making that performance. I don't know if they're going to publish a tutorial, but I just saw that and was deconstructing it in my head and figured I would record this video to share it with all of you. I've obviously got my Move here, but I've just barely scratched the surface and I'm working my way through the user manual. So if you have questions or things you'd like to see me do with Ableton Move, please let me know. I have a whole Ableton Live for Beginners series if you have no idea of any of the stuff we were just talking about or want to learn Ableton Live. That's going to be it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.